This is the first time where I'm super hardworking and I'm also like got good friends to hang out with. The other week, I met up with my boy and we went to the sauna ice bath and then we cooked a super good gym meal. And then I went to sleep on time. The next few days, I was filled with energy. Like, literally, we were laughing for 5 hours, but it was technically hard work. It was helping us with our goals, how I want to get in the ring. I had a perfect day of uploading videos. I went for a run and I did all this fucking great stuff. And that is how good it is to have good friends. You start to enjoy going out and being super social. Because for most of my life, I've either been super awkward but productive, or super productive. Wait, super awkward but productive, or super popular but super unproductive. And I realized why that was happening, and I finally cracked the code, and I want to share with you that story in today. And I've got a lot of good advice for you. I mean, first of all, you might be wondering, like, okay, does being social really change that much? I remember when I first got to my new school, I'd basically been social for a year before that. When I moved from Hong Kong to Australia to a boarding school, I'd been super social, going to like a party maybe every few weeks. I had friends who I would see at the gym quite often, and I wasn't by myself. Like, I had mates who I was hanging out with. And then all of a sudden, when I moved to this new school, the problem was that I thought, oh yeah, okay, I don't even want to go out anymore. Because I'd been going out, now I didn't really care about it that much. But after a few months, when that social success or like that residue started to wear off, I started to make really like poor decisions. I would all my mind would just always keep going back to thinking about girls or thinking about like, oh, what if I was included in this social group? And it really fucking like pulled me quite far. Like, it confused me a lot because I always, for like a year, I was like, I need to lock in. I thought that was the number one thing I needed to do. And then all of a sudden, once I was actually locked in, all I needed to do was make friends. All I needed to do was get a girl. And yeah, that really fucking cooked me there. See, the thing is, it silently affected my decisions throughout the day. Instead of, doing an extra half an hour of study, I would spend half an hour like daydreaming about like, oh, this girl or something. There was always be these like super small decisions that I didn't even realize that were happening, that were affecting my life, because like that urge or that desire to be socially valued wasn't like fulfilled. I remember after this first year at school, boarding school, I went back to Hong Kong, and this month I went out like to every social event. Wednesdays, Saturdays, there was a big social event both those days, and then I was hanging out with my boys like quite a few of those other days of the week. I was always like up to something, at least in the gym and chatting to a friend there. And I remember after a month, like there was some girls who were really into me. I was having a great time. I realized, like, what if I stayed here, bro? Think about how easy it would be to be locked in. You have a girl who'll come to see you. You have a great life with good friends. You laugh with a lot. You can still, like, when everyone gets back to school, they're gonna be locking in again. So it's gonna be easy for you to be hardworking. And I knew this. But the interesting thing was, even though I went back to Australia, I still had this boost of productivity. I was so much more hardworking after I went back, even though my friends weren't there. Like, it wasn't like my social life wasn't streamlined. My friends weren't still around me. They were just like completely gone. And it was still easy to work hard for like about 4 to 6 weeks. And then I started getting really insecure again, being like really awkward because I had just basically grown so much socially. I was treated like fucking like the goat, bro. I was like borderline getting approached by a bunch of people who I'd never met my whole life, knowing exactly who I was. And obviously these were at the functions, the teenage functions, but I was having a fucking great time. There was loads of girls who were into me. It was just so nice, man. And you might be thinking like, is that not a bit shallow or whatever? And I'm gonna say to you, bro, it's not shallow at all. We're always going to want girls who are into us. We're always going to want guys who respect us. And that's when I want to get into my next story here. I remember when I started that year, like the next year, I had another December holiday. Same gist, was super social. But then I went back to Australia because I knew, like, oh, imagine if I just stayed in Hong Kong after that great social holiday and I had all those connections and I just maintained that. Now, this time, sorry, the next story that I'm talking about, when I did that same thing, but I knew, okay, I live in Australia, I need to get comfortable with it. So After I went out that night, fucking sorry. After I Oh yeah, after I finished December of my holiday, I started going out a bunch in January. I ended up getting way closer to this guy in my school, hanging out with a few boys from like all over Melbourne, going to a few parties. Not too many. I was like still boxing in the gym and uploading a couple videos, and I was decently productive. And I ended up starting to date this girl. And I remember when I started the year, I was getting like really fucking great grades, bro. I like the first test I did was an A. I got an amazing result, and I was working really hard. And obviously, I probably still could have like maintained good results. Just for some some like backstory. I ended up getting worse and worse results as the year went on because my sleep apnea got so much worse. That's a little bit of a cop out, obviously, but like it genuinely did severely affect me, even though I knew like I was still putting in quite a lot of work at a lot of periods, and I just wasn't doing as well as I had used to. But the thing is, my main point that I want to make is I once I broke up with my girl, like yeah, it wasn't the fact that I broke up with her that I started doing worse at school because like the results the results were still fine. I was still learning really well. But what really fucking cooked me was when I had stopped like talking to her and it had been a few months and then I was supposed to be locked in, but then I'd be so like you'd either be like really horny or like really like fucking lonely and you would want to go on a night out and you would end up going to I probably ended up going to 20 more like drinking 20 to 40 more times on the Saturday night than I would compared to if fuck what was I on about. Oh yeah, if I had just had a girl and I wasn't like always worried about, I got to meet new people, I wouldn't have drank so much. I wouldn't have like done all these bad habits. You would have actually been way more productive. And obviously, I could have fucking controlled myself again. Like, that's the point. But I'm saying that it's way more easy to control yourself when you're already socially gratified. I remember I kind of toughed out this initial first year of school of being super social outcast just so I could get as much progress to my goals as possible. And once I got down to like a pretty low body fat percentage, like a decent muscle base, it was like all right. It was like now instead of being skinny fat as fuck, I was like just kind of like skinny but like a little bit of muscle. And I'd gotten really good grades and I was proud of myself. And obviously I'd learned like a few big lessons about being social just because I did go on one or two like very short holidays where I put in effort to be social again. But that was like very short lived. And I remember I did that hard work first, and then when I went to Hong Kong for this awesome holiday, see, what ended up happening was it was it was so fun to go out. It was so easy to meet people because I had I had gone from living these really good healthy habits. My skin had cleared up. I was more physically attractive. I'd been in the gym and all that. I'd been like, my mental was so much better. I was so much more present. I'd been like working so hard at school for the last year that my mind was so much more like capable. And so when I would go to these social events, I would be so much more fun to be around. I would have so much more energy. And I was so much more grateful to live like a time where you can go out and be super social compared to before. I just took that shit for granted. And then when I had gone on that holiday, it was like I got really, really like into being social. Like I went out at least twice a week. I think I already mentioned this, going to the gym all the time. And I was meeting like a bunch of girls. I was going on some dates here. I was going on these like boys meetup. I was organizing a bunch. I was very like, I don't think it's arrogant to say I was very popular given I had a fucking massive beach party and like a bunch of people pulled up and it was my friend and I who co-hosted. I was living great, bro. And the thing is, after that holiday, it was all of a sudden it was really easy to keep working. And I realized that if I hadn't left Hong Kong, when I had finished that, period of going out straight for a month, then what would have ended up happening is I would have had these friends and they would have invited me out on the weekend every couple of weeks. And what I would have done is, okay, I'm not going to come out for these 3 weeks, but we'll go out on this night. And that Or even to just like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna go out much, but I'll hang out with like my girlfriend for a few hours on Sunday, and I'll hang out with my boys for like a Saturday night chill dinner. And once you have like these good quality friends and like a girl, because I think those like they're both really important, then all of a sudden you have like this streamlined social life, and it's so much easier to work hard. I think this is the first time cause bro, I was saying to my friend like, oh, I'm not trying to go out, but on the 14th we'll go out, cause I mean it's we know it's gonna be like a nice night out, and we've got a bunch of friends who are gonna come out with us. But instead of at school when I say, oh, okay, I have to lock in because I didn't really have anything else I would do anyways. Now I can like genuinely pick, okay, well, I want to work hard, but I also want to be social. So I'm just going to work hard for a few weeks and then have like a really fun, because my friend's birthday on that Monday, and then there'll be a night out on that Wednesday, and then there'll probably be another night out on that Saturday. So I'll take 1 week of like, I might go out sober on these nights. I don't know. Like that's a unique thing I've been testing. But I know that I can work really hard, schedule videos for that time period, and then I can take like a week off. And then I know that after that week, I can lock in for like the next month, next 2 months before the next like big holiday, because I know my friends are going to be in a tough pressure. Like you can just like set up your life so that you can plan to have really, really good fun moments, which then boost your productivity, make you feel so much better to want to work harder. Now, the first thing you need to do is obviously you need to get like your lock in right, bro. Honestly, I'm doing this as well, and this is kind of hard. You can see what I've written down here. I have my habit tracker, which is meditate, gratitude, supplements, and read. I have my daily schedule, and I have my rules. And honestly, it depends for you. You know, you can do whatever you want, but you want to have a schedule that is like moderately realistic. You obviously, if you don't follow your schedule perfectly, that's fine. But you want to have a schedule where you're busy like nearly all of the day. You're literally planning in like wait. I planned in. I wake up. I go sit in the sun, drinking water. I do my supplements. I come. I have a shower, and then I sit down at the desk. I script first, and I have all of this shit in detail. I have my habit tracker, which I tick off every day. And so, obviously, some days I might want to go, like, for example, today I'm about to go watch my boys' basketball game. So, today, instead of, sitting here and filming for like 4 hours, like, of productivity for my channel, I'm just going to go, like, do 1 hour of productivity for my channel. And then I'm going to go watch the hoop game. And then I've got then I've got fucking boxing at night. So, you just want to make rules so that you're obviously going to keep like progressing in your goals, and you want to cut out all the distractions. I don't have Instagram on my phone. I don't have Netflix. I don't have any time where I'm like by myself doing a bad habit. On a normal day, I don't have any like chances for me to like just have free time to do nothing. Like my whole day is scheduled out, and I think that's a great thing to do. Obviously, if you're at school, it's a lot easier because you have your 7 to like 5 p.m. blocked out or something, and then you have gym, and then you can just like go home, eat, and go to sleep. It's very easy to do that. But just like once you commit to this for a few months, you want to get in the point where people respect you when you're trying to be social. Like, imagine if I went out when I was fucking still super skinny. I don't need to imagine. When I went out super skinny fat, and I went to talk to people, I didn't have nowhere near as good of a like an impact. Obviously, I had a lot of like social clout, which was like quite lucky that I went to these social events. I put in the hard work to like meet new people, but like it's also lucky that when I put in that hard work, it was rewarded so well, and I met so many people. But if I didn't have that clout and I went out, I knew I would have been fucking cooked, bro, because I had nothing else going for me. But once you lock in, you get in a good physical shape. Halo effect can kind of come in when you've like cleared up your skin. If like you just get some fucking acne, like deal with your acne, clear up your diet, fucking go to the gym, and then all of a sudden you're gonna have great skin. You're gonna look so much better. People will treat you so much better when you go. A genuinely massive difference, and it's really hard to cut out all these bad habits, all of this dumb shit. But once you do it, it's so easy, bro. Like, it's way more fun to have zero fun habits every day and only productive shit than it is to go out every day. Sorry, than it is to have like 1 hour of video games every single day. I promise you. Now, I may not be like the best guy to tell you about locking in. But what I'm doing here, and I'm gonna report back in about maybe a month. I might make another video similar like this, maybe 2, 3 weeks of how I'm making significant progress in YouTube while I still have mates and like seeing friends and shit. And honestly, bro, I don't think it's too hard. The thing is, you just need to have that lock-in phase, and especially you need to have that one social phase where you're very friendly to people, because it takes you like 1 to 2 months of intense like effort to try and be super social, meet as many new people as possible, start going to parties. It's easier if it's already available to you. Like it's already available for me to go out to on a night out here in Hong Kong, and when I was younger, I would have still met people my age. So that helped a lot when I wanted to have these big social periods. Well, I'm gonna get into that. Here, I'm gonna explain how fucking sick this certain specific 3 weeks of my holiday was. I finished school in Melbourne. On the Friday night, I went out with my boy, and I was so awkward. So I finished school Friday. I was so awkward, I couldn't even fucking speak to anybody. And then over that night, I started putting a little bit of effort. Like I'd go up. There was this one girl sitting on this couch, so I went up. I'm like, "Oh, hey, nice to meet you. How are you?" And it was like she didn't like me or anything. I'm pretty sure she was lesbian or something. But it wasn't about that. It was like, oh, you can just go around and have a nice chat with people you see, and people are actually friendly. And it was a really like mind shifting experience at that point. Like I knew that, but like being reminded that after being at a fucking school full of cunts for so long, like just full of people who are so socially awkward, who aren't like friendly to talk to you. Whereas going on a night out, meeting new people, and everybody is happy to have a conversation, that was a big mindset shift. And then from that point, the next day, I remember I approached a girl. I went on a night out and I was speaking to a bunch of girls that night. I was with my friends. And, when I say speaking to a bunch of girls, I'm not saying I'm like going and sleep. I used to, like, there's such a strong culture of, oh, just sleep with as many girls as possible, bro. I'm telling you, that shit is such a fucking L mindset, bro. Because it is not gratifying. Like, I mean, how would I know? I've never slept with a girl. But the thing is, bro, over time, it's best to go out and like over these 3 weeks, I spoke to so many people. I got over this fear of like being able to approach a girl again. Like I literally a few days ago, I went up to a girl. Like I was walking past her, I was like, "Hey, you're really pretty. What's your name?" And I'm like not really in the mood for dating at the moment, too strong, but like I just want you to know that you need to have like this period where you're meeting as many people as possible. I have so much more advice on my channel, but I'm summarizing it where you're going and planning as many things possible with your guys, and then you're inviting them, okay, we can go to this night out. You're looking up, especially if you're under 18, go U18 night events. And I think that there is a really fucking like 500-person big event for in Melbourne for teenagers, which is super fun. And yeah, I remember these 3 weeks. I was a completely different person by the end of it. And then the thing is, I had another month of fucking holidays. But the thing is, by the end of that holiday, I had so much experience, and I got closer to a lot more people. I felt like I've lived a fucking eternity in that month. There was so much motion, there was so many people, there was so much excitement, and genuinely, bro, the amount of things like the experience that I got covered in that month was fucking unparamounted, bro. So I'm telling you, it's absolutely worth it. And then now, when I'm locked in, since I'm so much closer with these boys, since I've met new people, I've met some people who are harder working. Like if I was still talking to this girl that I was talking to, then it was like quite streamlined, where I wouldn't care about going out that much because I already had a girl that I could hang out with. Like it wouldn't really fucking matter to me, right? And so yeah, I'm telling you, bro, when you fucking get that really good social period locked and you know how to do it, which I'll explain to you how to do that, then you can like streamline your life and it gets so much better. I mean, for me, I'm looking for like, I've got very high standards because I know that the girl that I'm dating will significantly affect me. But this last one wasn't gonna work anyways because she doesn't live like near to me. So yeah, she lives like overseas. Little bit of a rant there, but it's good for you to know that I'm also like a human like you. That I mean, obviously you don't want to hear that, oh, once you get to my point you don't have problems. Honestly, you don't fucking have any problems, bro. If I was in your situation where, if let's say you're not social and then this girl stopped talking to me, I would be distraught for months, bro. But in this situation, I can get over it like quite quickly because I've had like a lot of experiences. I've got good friends who I can call and who can back me, and I have these friends who I can just go hang out with. I won't feel lonely if I lose like a girl that I'm talking to. Now, last one of the last things I wanted to say is because the next slide is peak advice. Fuck, it's a good advice to be as social, like be fun to be around. This slide, I remember one night I went out and I woke up and I was like, holy shit, that was the best night of my entire life. It was fucking so good, right? See, the thing is, I learned this science, like this is science that I read up on. The most enjoyable state for a human being is actually when there's no thoughts in your mind and you're just actively doing something. That's called a flow state. And when you're in like a social flow state where you're not thinking while you're speaking, I think this social flow state is like a bit confused. Like it's not actually like an overly complex thing. It's just like in general, most of the conversations you're having, you're not thinking about anything and you're having a great time. You got so much to say. Or being in like a work that you love doing, or like when you're in a math test and all the fucking equations start flowing, you're in a flow state. The flow state is the most enjoyable human like experience. And I remember there was like pretty much no difference. Or sorry, I enjoyed the social night out more, but the thing that I nearly enjoyed just as much was writing a 4 hour like social skills guide. Like I remember this was before it's on my course now, but this is before I made like massive edits and I rewrote it and all of that shit and I added way more. But the first time it took me like 4 hours, but I was literally just like fully in the moment typing for 4 hours straight because I was really interested in it and I had like put my mental focus towards it and ended up doing like really well on it. And okay, the point that I was making is I really enjoyed that almost as much as going out and being super social. And so you want to be able to get into your social flow states here and there as like a reward because you can't do it every day because that like I mean you could technically if you're at school, but like if you're always trying to like be super social, maximize that, then the thing is that's what I call like your 1 to 2 month like super social period. You shouldn't be living like that most of the time. Most of the time you should be hanging out with your friends like maybe if you want every day, but like at the end of the day when you've like done your hard work and you go to the gym with them and you eat dinner, or like obviously if you're in love with a girl and you're dating somebody, every day if you want to like it's your decision, but if you want to like finish all your work and then go hang out with your girlfriend and watch a movie every night, you know what I mean, or do something along those lines, then I honestly like fully understand that and that's great. But if you want to be hardworking, you need to have like your periods where you know that you're getting productive stuff, like taking some big steps towards your goals every single day. And it doesn't matter as long as you know what your goal is, bro. Like being hardworking, you like being locked in is a great feeling, but honestly, it's a little bit extra if you could genuinely be disciplined, being social, seeing your friends often, and not get tempted to go out and like drink or like to waste your time, then honestly, it would be a better life scenario to be work hard and then be as social as possible in your free time. I really would fuck with that. I mean, the the thing is, bro, when you're with your good friends, they make your life so much better. I'm gonna move on to the next slide. I'm getting like really blurry mind now, but I do have one last slideshow that is like pretty important. And there's other videos in more detail, but this is like some three really important things that I said. So I remember this one day I went to this night out, and it's like a bunch of people all go to the same area, and I went up to this girl and I'm like, hey, it's nice to meet you. Let's just say I was dropping bars, right? I was like, oh, what's your number? Oh, I would love to see you again, or some shit like that. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, like that was really good, but I have a boyfriend. And you see, the thing is, I could tell she actually had a boyfriend because she was like genuinely flattered. She was like, "Oh, I really appreciate that so much," and she was being really nice. It wasn't like condescending or anything. That's when I realized, like, when I go up to a girl, like, when you go up to a girl, they're like just praying. They're like, "Please, can this guy be like the really good guy that I've always wanted? That he's like funny, he's confident, and he's like actually a nice guy." Like every single girl, I promise you, is like praying for a guy like that. You know how we're pissed off with the dating market? Like every girl is a bulb and like no girls want anything serious, blah blah blah. Like we're sick of this shit. Like this is the male like this is a common male like rhetoric at this time in our lives, right? That young girls don't really like take anything serious. But I'm telling you, the girl, like so many girls, in fact, probably all of the girls, if they weren't like taken, they're like sitting there on the street, like, please, can a guy approach me? I'm waiting so hard for a guy to meet him. And that really helped me think, like, okay, I should probably start going up to some girls. It's really hard, but it's fun to do when you're like with your friends. And, it doesn't need to be that deep, bro. Like, as I said, you don't need to sleep with every girl that you talk to. You should, like, I've gone up to girls, gone their Instagram, said they're like really pretty, and never fucking messaged them again because then I realized, like, wait, actually, I didn't really like that conversation I had with her. You don't even need to ask for anything, You're just going around genuinely having a good fucking chat, having a laugh. And then the next story I want to tell you that helped me a lot is when I went to hang out with these two girls at the pier. They're my good friends. I've known them for years. And when I went silent in the conversation, I was so used to panicking all the time. I'd get super scared. But with these two, they were just like zoned out looking around. And what I did for the first time is I zoned out and I looked around. But they didn't care. And then all of a sudden we just started talking about something new. And that was such a refreshing moment for me to realize, like, oh shit, like I can actually take a breather and relax. It's not that deep if the conversation goes silent. It's only deep if you think the silence is awkward. It's your choice to make it awkward or not. Just remind yourself, like mentally, just say, yeah, silence isn't awkward. Silence is fine. And then take a deep breath and just manually do that until over time, I promise you, all of a sudden it's going to be so much easier to talk to people. And then the last thing I want to say is, I remember I was in class one day and this guy, he was talking to the teacher. He's like, oh, have you seen the Israel-Palestine news? And he's talking about some like global conflict or some shit. This is just what this guy was genuinely interested in. He was like interested in like what was going on in the world. And he was talking to my teacher. He struck up a conversation with her and they're talking for like 15 minutes. And that's when I realized that's the kind of thing that I would think like, oh, you can't just like talk about, you can't just say like, oh, what do you think about this news article? Can you? But then I realized, yeah, fucking of course you can, just talk about what you're interested in. And if someone else isn't interested in it, they're just gonna like not engage in the conversation. It's just not that deep, bro. They're just like, if you say, oh, do you go to the gym? And someone says, nah, bro, then you just don't need to talk to the gym about them. Or you can, even if, like, bro, the whole point that I'm fucking making is we always think we can't say what we want to say. Shut the fuck up, bro. I don't even know who these fucking, outside my house, there's a bunch of people who are mad loud right now. I mean, obviously they can't hear me, otherwise I wouldn't have been disrespectful like that, but like, it's fucking pissing me off. Anyways, the point that I was making is nothing is actually crazy to say. Like, I mean, obviously you're not gonna say some fucking heinous, disgusting shit. If you just stay away from jokes about like sex or sensitive topics, and you just like say pretty much everything else on your mind, then you're pretty much good to go. Like, nothing is crazy to say. Obviously, you need some social intuition, but genuinely, bro, just relax. Like, if you asked your friend, like, I remember I was in class one day, I was like, yo, bro, what's a good speaker to buy? Like, you just don't overthink it, bro. Just don't overthink it. If it's a thought that is on your mind, just say it. And also be comfortable with not needing to say something at all times. Fucking check out my course if you want, like, in-depth guide. And obviously, I've got group calls. You can speak to me one-on-one there. Subscribe. I've got to start writing that down more because there's a bunch more videos on how to be more social. This is so much more in depth, but I wanted to highlight how you could be hardworking and social at the same time. I wanted to really emphasize that in this video today. Thank you for watching. Have a good day, bro.